Sure, dude. I don't have like super deep knowledge, but I'll give it a shot.
These are pretty, neither does Zilly. Like he knows like a lot like about the game, but he wasn't like super into like following the pro scene. But these
Mhm.
questions are pretty easy, so
All right.
I think really anyone could get this. Fuck whoever said I look like Rifkin. Fuck you. I do not look like Rifkin.
Oh, damn.
Not that that's bad, but fuck you. I do not look like him. He looks like me, if anything. He just got famous first.
Lol.
That's how that worked. I'm pretty sure I'm older than him, so he copied me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wish I was as successful as they are, but maybe one day. As long as we,
Takes a lot of time.
yeah, as long as we keep bringing the dank memes, you know, we have to get Nate on really if we want to keep calling ourselves dank. We have to get like the dankest memer himself on.
Yep.
Like that only makes sense.
So you had Puck, so Nathanius. Who else is good for memes? Have you had Loco?
No, not yet.
You should do that.
We've had it on a pretty like a pretty good guess. We've had Fear Dragon, Maynard, Puck, Penguin, Hero. Yeah, we've had like a decent crowd. We've had a decent crowd. We were supposed to get Tempo last week, but his like he had moved in his computer like shit out like the day he moved, and he's
Yeah.
like, I have nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay. It is what it is. So, but I appreciate everyone hanging out with us tonight and watching the show. Like I said, as soon as my co-host gets here, we'll start in. Topics tonight. We're just going to talk about mentality. You know how to cope with this new patch. What are some good coping strategies, maybe? And then we'll talk about the IEM qualifiers and then just some general news. Oh, and then we'll play a game. So make sure you stay tuned for the game. We're going to play some trivia. We'll see. See who knows more. Just 3 questions.
I'll do it.
So it should be pretty entertaining. This is my first time in this crazy place they call DankShrine. Zilly's on his way. He's like stuck in traffic. Like he lives out in Oakland, so like he's like stuck on the highway right now, like as we speak. So, but as soon as he gets in, we'll just add him into the call and we'll get going here. And if he's not here within the next 3 minutes, we'll just roll without him, and then we'll just add him in on the fly because I've got it set up.
So there was a YouTube video I saw. It was the Zen of driving, and it's dealing with those compressed traffic situations and how on most roads there is the infrastructure to have smooth traffic, but human drivers prevent that from happening by virtue of changing lanes and being super close to each other. If you create about 100 feet of distance between yourself and the car in front of you, then you decompress the lane. You make yourself more fuel efficient. You don't have to brake as much. You can just let off the gas. So it saves everyone gas, saves everyone stress, and makes everything nice and smooth. But it's not widespread knowledge, so rip. You have traffic.
There we go. Apparently I needed to change a little bit more. That should be better now. Everyone let me know if that helped out. Sometimes, I don't know why, but everyone's audio is just a little bit different, you know? So that can make it kind of tough. But yeah, no, like I know what you're talking about, and luckily I live in like Minneapolis, so like traffic isn't like as killer here. So where are you at, by the way? I guess I don't even know.
Austin, Texas.
Okay, nice. So you'll probably be going to the DreamHack Austin, right? As long as they have... Well, you'll probably go no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Just because. Like, if there was, like, for some reason a DreamHack Minneapolis, I would definitely be there no matter what was there. But, well, that won't happen. No one comes
I went
in.
last time when they had StarCraft. It was pretty lit. I think that was the first DreamHack in the U.S.
Yeah, it was, yeah. That was like, I don't know, they had... I think they said it was one of their more successful ones, too, just, like, with attendance and stuff. And maybe that was just because, you know, Austin's A, huge, and B, it was the first one, you know, in the US. What do they have scheduled this year? 3 of them, right? They're going back to Austin, they have Atlanta, and then Denver.
Yeah.
So,
Which, those are both pretty short flights for me, so I might do more than one.
well, they're all hubs, too, which is nice. Like, Austin's a hub, Atlanta's a hub, and Denver's a hub. So, I mean, yeah. Like, I looked up flights from Minneapolis to Denver, and it's like $85. So it's like, yeah, I'll definitely go if it's there. Plus, you know, we all know what's legal out in Denver, so, you know, it's a multi-purpose trip, let's call it that. It's for business. Yeah, Vape Nation, y'all. So, okay, well, I think what we'll do is we'll just get rolling without Zillion. We'll just add him in. like when he gets here. So we'll just leave him black for now. But like I said, when he pops in, we'll get him going. So man, thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate you taking some time out to talk to us. Okay, never mind. MMO coaches ever StarCraft 2. Yeah, MMO coaches for StarCraft. I was going to get to that. That is our sponsor, MMO Coach. They're actually looking to expand their StarCraft, so that's a good way for anyone that's interested in becoming a coach as well as coaching. Just another opportunity. Looks like Zilly just got in, so let's go ahead and we'll add him to the. About time. Here he comes. There he is.
He wants to show video. Should I accept?
Yeah, you should accept.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it.
No, trust me.
It seems risky.
How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Sorry, there was a shooting on the freeway, I guess in Oakland today.
That's metal.
Yeah, there was a shooting on the freeway, I guess, so took quite a while getting home.
Yeah, well, it's good that you did not get shot.
Yeah, that's true, right?
So you want to adjust your camera down just a tad bit so they don't have to look at just your forehead?
It's a cool room.
It's actually my living room.
Nice.
Thanks, man. I don't have like a computer room or anything now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get compliments on my room. It's pretty.
Isn't that the basement?
Yeah, but it's like the dank room. Like this is where all the memes happen. So this is like the place to be. So no, it's just.
And it's an awesome room.
This is just where my wife can't hear me in the house. So, ergo,
yeah, that's the problem.
It was the best
like,
room.
I'm in the living room, so when my wife is like here, when I'm playing, I have to keep it quiet and stuff. We're moving to Oregon in the next 2 weeks, so I'm hoping to get a place that has like an extra bedroom just for video games.
Excellent.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. So.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, now that we're all here, like I said, we can kind of get started. So again, I was talking about MMO coach. So guys, yeah, if you play at a higher level, I mean, I've only played at a diamond level and I'm a coach, but like I stay on there, I'm an entry level coach. So if you want to learn to be GM, obviously you don't get coaching from me. But if you want to get coaching, that's a good place. Or if you want to become a coach, it's also a good place. Just for you to make some side cash, hone your skills, get your name out there. Just a cool opportunity, really. But yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at DankShrine for all our Dank updates. And then if you just search DankShrine on YouTube, you can follow our channel as well. All the VODs get posted there.
Absolutely.
Shoot.
You do any coaching, Nuro? You do, right?
Hell yeah, dude. I would say for Zerg coaches who speak English, I would say maybe top 3 or top 5. Pig is definitely one of the best.
Yeah,
I would say that.
He's a bit more expensive. Cats coaches, but it's kind of for like the joke rate of like $100 an hour.
Yeah, $100 an hour.
Yeah. So he's like doing an Idra where it's basically saying, I don't really want to coach people, but if you just have money to throw around, then fine.
Yeah. I think Penguin does coaching as well for not as quite as expensive, but he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get started. So I just wanted to talk about just like what's your history with StarCraft? Like what is it that draws draws you to the game, or what drew like in the first place?
So the quick story of how I got into StarCraft is after finishing my bachelor's in cognitive science, I went for poker. I moved to Canada. I played online poker for about 2 years, and I played StarCraft as like my recreational game.
Right.
And this was kind of HOTS beta era, and I went from Diamond League in the beta to Master League earlier than I expected. And I was kind of thinking, well, if I can get from Diamond to Master in StarCraft, and I've learned a lot of these mindset and mentality principles from poker, would it be possible to create a stream where I bring a lot of that literature to the StarCraft scene? Because you see VODs of like Idra leaving against Huck with the hallucinated Void Race, and it's like, these people need help. Like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
They're not being adults here. And it's like, who's going to step in and say, all right, mentality is an edge. if you can stick it out, if you can fight, try and take some advantages, you can surprise yourself and win a lot of games from behind.
Yeah, definitely.
So it seemed like a really big open niche to make a stream. It's definitely a labor of love, like being StarCraft full time. It's not the biggest gaming scene, but it was one where I could implement all those principles and not depend on anyone else. So I didn't need like a 4 or 5 man team to play a MOBA or a shooter game or whatever. It's just you kind of take it one game at a time. You can analyze your loss, and you can try and do it a little bit better next time.
Right.
So was it just StarCraft, or were you playing some other games and decided StarCraft was the one that would work best?
I played Han as well, and a tiny bit of Dota 1, but yeah, it was Han, Star Wars: Old Republic, StarCraft, and I played a lot of FPS a few years back, but StarCraft seemed like the most logical choice, and there's already the atmosphere of learning with like Day 9 and stuff.
Right, right.
It was clear there was demand where people want to take some time to get better at the game, and like he says, just be a better gamer in general.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my reasoning for choosing StarCraft.
Right on, man.
It's good to see
So,
people...
that-
Oh, God.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, it's good to see like people like Pig kind of take the place of Day 9 with the learning curve. Like, I really appreciate that. And we want to get him on the show at some point, too. But it's someone that I think the community maybe doesn't owe anything to, but I think we all really appreciate like what he does and how he's kind of revived that whole learning like concept, because like he does like everything, like, you know, from beginner videos, like, hey, if you're just getting into this game, this video is not for you, but for those that, you know, are just getting into it, I will show you how to, like, you know, build off a wall versus Zerg, you know, very entry level stuff. And I just think that that's awesome that we still have someone willing to take the time out to cater to less skilled players, you know, and then to be someone that is interesting at all levels. Like, no matter what level you are, it's always interesting to watch Pig stream.
Yeah, and it's cool. He does all the races now, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's good with all races. I think he got, GM with all of them last season? Yep. So, I mean, that's pretty dope.
So I got a question for you, Nuro. You know, I know that you talk a lot about the mentality aspect, and some of that came from college. But I've been listening to you before, where you talk about things that aren't related to StarCraft, or even things with cognitive science, and apply them. So, you know, do you have any like hobbies outside of StarCraft that contribute to kind of your mentality? You know, what are those things that you're interested in aside from the game and your background with school?
I like basically anything that's a really great view of an element of life on Earth as humans. So watching documentaries is a hobby of mine, where you can just spend half an hour to an hour watching a video on some aspect of science or some country you've never even heard of, some political era in some country, and it really broadens your perspective and humbles you as a person. And I think that humility is one of those edges of mentality, but also just self-development, that has those types of advantages where you're not quite satisfied with just being where you are right now. You really have that hunger for learning, which university kind of teaches you that process of learning has a lot of value and there's a lot out there to learn. And that's something that you can keep with you your whole life. You don't have to just finish university and then, all right, I'm done learning. I can just do my skills and stuff. So I don't know if you were asking like mentality specific stuff that I'm adding in.
No, I just meant like any other hobbies you might have too that kind of contribute to the whole mind frame that you have with the game.
Running.
Are you in a
Running is a really important hobby for me. So I've run a marathon and then a half marathon as well.
Hell
I did
yeah.
cross country and track in high school and middle school. And running is a really important hobby for understanding how your body works and also how you can overcome obstacles and push through where you thought you needed to give up. So when you're going for a run, you run and you run, you run, and then your joints and muscles and cardiovascular system experience pain and discomfort to the point where you say, all right, this is past a threshold, and then you get an endorphin release, and your body makes you feel a little bit better, and you can keep going. And then the pain lessens, and you surprise yourself, wow, I thought I was done at 4 miles, but I ended up doing 7. So that process of discovering not just being able to confront difficulty, but breaking through and beating obstacles that you thought were going to keep you from moving forward any further. And that goes into gaming as well.
When you run, that's what called the runner's high, right? And that's also called like breaking through the wall. Like once you hit that point where you think you can't, and then you get that endorphin rush.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah. How many marathons have you done?
1 full marathon and 1 half.
Nice, me too.
I have
Congrats, man,
ran.
that's
I
pretty
have.
cool.
I have ran 0. So
It's a really, really good experience. Make sure you poop before you go.
I actually have heard that, and I've heard, and you need to wear like either tape on your nips or nipple cream.
I never had that problem.
You get some.
I didn't
you
have
get
that
some.
problem.
Okay,
Hydration afterward.
I don't know. I've heard that chafing is a bitch.
I've heard
Can
people
be.
say that though.
Okay. Well, we'll get off the topic of nipples.
Yes.
So I know you like this isn't another thing, but I know you like like kind of hardcore music. I don't know. What would you say your favorite genre of music is?
Usually the top 3 are black metal, psytrance, and drum and bass. If I had to pick 3, but
Because I was
like,
gonna
today-
ask if you were in a Swedish metal band, because I know that like just everyone fucking thinks you have like the most kick-ass hair ever.
Yeah, that was just moving to Canada and not getting my hair cut, and this happened.
It just stuck though.
Yeah.
It's awesome though.
But-
like,
But yeah, I really think that streaming is a great platform where you can share music with people and expand your own horizons. So when I'm doing commentary, often I'll have song request on, and I'll discover a lot of new artists that viewers request. Like today was pretty much all Opeth and In Flames, but I like ambient stuff, IDM, like rap can be really awesome and fitting for StarCraft play, I feel like.
yeah, because
like
the beat and
first
the
time-
tempo.
Yeah, well, murder rap is like super aggressive, and the first time I ever defended a proxy for Barracks Marine was when I was listening to Vinny Paz, and he was going ham with the lyrics, and someone proxied me, and I was like, no, you fucking don't. I just pulled everything and killed
Yeah.
all of it.
That's
And
like
someone was like, wow, have you ever done that before? Nope.
that's like
shit.
that's like the J-Dong, like I'm gonna kill you in his head over and over. I'm gonna
Yeah.
kill you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
kill
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. So it's good. It's actually a good thing to kind of have in your head, like not to give up, and just to keep going.
Of J-Dong and the I'm gonna kill you, it kind of links in with Bruce Lee saying being deadly serious allows you to be true to yourself and to take all the advantages you can. So I love J-Dong. He was probably my favorite player to watch just because he had that intensity. When he's standing up, getting ready to sit down and fight his opponent, he looks like he could just box them.
Yeah, like knock him out, like-
he would be ready if that were to happen.
He's like, fuck
Instead
this.
of a
We're not
third
even
time.
gonna play. Like we're just gonna fight.
Yeah, and I've noticed in myself, like, when I get in that zone, I play a lot better. Just because I'm confident, I feel like victory is something I can take, and when an opportunity is presented, there isn't really a thought of, oh, this is an opportunity, let me do this. It just happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a hard mindset to get into. A couple things that you can do to click into it. Be well rested is one, and then do some cardio or some exercise is another. And if that doesn't work, you can just slap the shit out of yourself, and sometimes that'll get you into
Just
it. Like
gets-
weightlifters will do that.
Yeah.
They'll like beat their chest or do whatever. It's kind of like getting ready to fight.
Yeah, it actually gets like your adrenaline going a little bit. Like we used to do that during like when I played football in high school. We would do that to each other, just like push and shove and stuff, and just kind of get hyped up, and you would feel it. Like you could just feel, your body tense up and get ready.
Speaking of football, I played since probably from age 7 to 16. And a couple of my coaches along the way, they were saying winning is something you should go for every time, but the reason we play is to build character and to be better people. And I kind of brought that from sports into games, where you can use games as a frontier to just be better in whatever front you can. Like you can respect your opponents, which is almost a foreign concept in gaming.
Right.
And yeah, you can have class. You can be a gentleman or a gentlelady, whatever, in your
Yeah.
gaming scene culture.
Wow, that's foreign concept, huh?
Yeah.
Gee. Hey, so I want to bring this back to your team. What's it like being on Root, and how do you view your place as a member of the Root community?
Well, I was brought on kind of in a similar capacity as Wardy. So my skill level isn't one where I'm a primarily tournament player. I'm primarily a streamer. So it's more of like the educational role where Root likes me, they like what I do, they liked my brand. So they're like, sure, we would love to bring you on. And then I get a premium Twitch partnership with that, which means for every sub I get a better rate than a standard partnership. So I get like 70% as opposed to 50%. So there's that direct benefit. They've been really good about promoting my stuff. So if I have a video, I release anything, they tweet it without me asking. So I feel like they have my back. I was on Exile 5 before, and it wasn't quite as good of a relationship. Plus, the Root brand is awesome.
Right.
It feels like a grassroots team that came up with Cats and some other players rather than something that kind of came in from the outside.
Right, I can see that.
I've also gotten a lot of replays from Cham. Cham is a player who I knew almost nothing about, other than that he was starting to post results. And I would see him knock out players who knocked me out of qualifiers and stuff. And it's like, hey, could you send me that replay? He sends me the replay, and now I basically play ZVP with his build, and my win rate went up by like 5%. So he's really cool. He's young. He's like 19 or 20, Mexican player.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of potential, and he's really nice too. He has a pretty good mindset, I would say.
Yeah, no, Cham's really cool. Like, I always be sure to like tune in like whenever I see him, playing.
But yeah, I've done a little bit more with Cats as well since being on Root, like some Overwatch games and talking about stuff. We've had a few times on stream where we'll just talk about like aliens, the possibility of aliens existing, and if they've been to Earth, and if they helped build the pyramids and shit like that.
Yeah, that stuff definitely happened. That shit's not natural.
I'm more on the skeptical side of stuff.
I am too, but you can't rule it out, right?
That's true.
We don't have proof that it didn't, so.
Yeah, Thor's probably in the Andromeda Galaxy doing something cool.
Who knows, man? There was a recent discovery. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about how just like the prehistoric cultures and stuff, and they were talking about how there was really no way that these hunter and gatherers could have taken down like these woolly mammoths like back in the day with how huge they were and stuff. It like just didn't make sense. Like, why hunt that game when you can hunt small deer and like all these other animals? Like, why go for like this huge fucking creature and stuff? But just recently in Michigan, I think it was either Michigan, I think it was Michigan or Wisconsin. They found one, and they had found these tools around it that they were using to like launch spears. Like, it was like it like predates like anything they've seen, and the technology is more advanced than they've seen, like for like how old it is. And what they actually found was they found this woolly mammoth that was like submerged like in this mud pit, which used to be like a lake, and it was basically held down with these huge boulders. And from what they could gather from what they had there is they had killed it and then submerged it in this really deep lake to actually preserve it, which is like kind of crazy to think about. It's like
old school refrigeration.
Yeah, like it was so deep that it kept it from rotting, and then whenever they needed, they were just like cranking it up and just like taking what they needed and then just sinking it back down. Like, it's like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
Even nowadays, like, it's like, how many people would even think of that? Like, if they were in like a survival situation, like, you wouldn't think of that. It's like, oh fuck, I just let it rot.
Yeah. Well, we don't have the fossils of the tribes that fucked up because they died. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. But anyway, to get back on point here. So what are your thoughts on the state of Zerg and with the new balance changes?
Oh God. So
I know we're opening up a can of worms here.
Yeah.
This needs to be talked about. So this is something that I've seen happen again and again for like the past, well, since I've been in the StarCraft scene. Every time something changes, we shit the bed. Regardless of what the change is, regardless of whether it makes us better or worse, when the change happens, you could say a loud minority will get very upset. And they'll say, David, how could you do this to us? We trusted you. And it's interesting because usually the change happens as a result of a bunch of complaints about, oh, this stuff is OP, we want to use these units more. So then David Kim in his infinite wisdom says, all right, they want these things, and they want to use these units more. So let's buff those units that they want to use more. And then he buffs the units, and then we shit the bed.
Except for Swarm Host, right? Because no one wants to use Swarm Host.
Dude. No, dude.
Swarm Hosts are good right now.
I won like 4 games today using Swarm Host Nidus, which I have to shout out to my partner. She's a diamond player, but she was like, wouldn't it be good to have Swarm Hosts in a Nidus to harass, because you can just unload the Locust and get back in? And I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then this patch comes through and Swarm Hosts are now cheaper, and Sky Toss is really hard to beat because carriers are way better. Right. And I tried Lurker Nidus. Lurkers, they're going to get cleaned up, so you're losing gas every time you try to harass. But Swarm Hosts, like 15 Swarm Hosts in a Nidus, pop out, kill a base, go back in. Pop out, kill a base, go back in. And then you control the center of the map with your main army. This is brilliant. That's one of the better ways to play against Turtle, Sky Toss, and Turtle Mech. So Swarm Host is a viable unit now.
Yeah, damn, I like that idea a lot. That's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So we do want to go over the IEM stuff, but do you guys want to go ahead and just go over the balance patch first? I mean, there's a lot to talk about there.
Did you want to go into specifics of the balance patch?
I would be down with that. I would say I can give better feedback on the balance patch than IEM because I didn't watch all those games.
Well, right, we didn't watch a ton of it. We just wanted to go over it at the end.
Yeah,
so,
we were just going to go over it.
I'm kind of curious. What do you think about it? Like, what do you think about there being mech, as it kind of, it looks a lot more like Brood War, the game, at least what they're proposing by Blizzard. We're seeing more mech from Terran. We're seeing Sky Toss being viable. It's really interesting. And, I think that what you said about players really shitting the bed or, just getting pissed off in general about when things happen like that, when there's a balance patch, it always happens. And, usually it's Zerg that figures things out what's good first, right? We're seeing a lot of players complain about Zerg, especially against Protoss, but everyone's saying that, Sky Toss is a little bit OP right now. What's your thought on it? Do you think anything's too strong? It sounds like you're more of the like to say, wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is as soon as something is changed, it's kind of easy to read in the patch notes, like what became stronger. And then a lot of people will use those units and they'll think about making a build to use that unit to its maximum effect. So like Charge Zealots got buffed. So you'll see Charge Zealot timings that are kind of like the Adept timings that are pretty strong and pretty difficult to hold. So when the patch comes out, you have a bunch of those builds where someone said, all right, buffed unit, this is the main idea of my strategy. I'm going to attack with this. And it feels really strong because all this stuff was buffed and no one has practiced the defensive procedures to like that Zealot Charge Prism timing. So they lose to it. Maybe they get upset. Maybe they tweet about it. And then eventually they think, all right, this is the build. I could counter it with this. And then it becomes less strong. So communities can balance a game over time. It's not ever going to be perfectly fair either, which is a expectation a lot of people have. They say, I deserve to play a fair game. I put in time for RTS, so you better make it fair. And if it's not fair, I'm going to be mad and saying that Zerg is Imba. Maybe Zerg is the strongest race right now, like I see someone in the chat saying that, like, just admit Zerg is strong, dude. All three races are strong, and if you look at your replays, pretty much every time, the player who fucked up more lost. And the player who made more workers, more army, more tech, took initiatives, won the game. So what I tell people is, rather than focus on balance or imbalance, you should say at the end of every game, what could I have done better? Like, sure, they did a strong build, a strong style, but what could I have done better? Did I get supply blocked at 32? Did I miss my 4-minute scout timing? Was my creep spread lackluster? It's more of like an improvement-oriented approach. The patch just means a bunch of the variables have changed, and I can experiment with those things. I can face new timings and then learn how to defend them.
Well, I think one of the things whenever you have a major patch like this too, and with everyone crying, is because they have to relearn certain things. Like you were saying, it's like things aren't the same. I have to do things differently now based on these compositions and these timings because now it's different. And it's almost like relearning the game. And some people are just like, oh, David Kim, it was perfect the way it was. We all knew, But I would argue that by doing major patches like this, it keeps the game fresh. It keeps you, constantly learning, which is better for your cognitive abilities in general, because you're always developing your skills, and now these skills will change, and maybe you can just adapt them somewhere else.
This patch is also different from most of the other patches Blizzard has put through for StarCraft, which have been very small and incremental. Like, we're just going to change the bunker build time a little bit, and that's going to fix everything. Whereas this change is like, change everything. Everything that was strong, nerf it. Everything that wasn't used, buff it.
Yeah.
They knew this. Like, this was planned at the end of the year for the off-season. This con is over. There aren't really super major big circuit tournaments right now. There are still some, but it's only 2 months. So they have 2 months to collect a bunch of data from the ladder and from these online cups and say, all right, maybe Hydras are a little bit too strong, or maybe like whatever unit is a little bit too strong. They can tune it back, and then when the year starts, they can make it a little bit more fair. So being patient and still working on your fundamentals is kind of, I would say, the counter strategy to getting upset at losing to new fancy builds that seem OP.
Yeah, no,
Because there probably are some OP builds and some OP units.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always a way to counter it.
Yeah.
No, very well said.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate for the, we're going to be talking about the IEM, that there is a tournament going on where there's money on the line. But, I think this needs to happen. I don't think anybody was really happy with the way that the Legacy of the Void was at the end. And, if they do this well, it could be great for the game. So I think it's great that Blizzard's taking the time and making sure that we get the best possible game by putting it on the ladder for this season. It has to happen.
Yeah. And they're taking some big risks, which I think is definitely worth it. They're going to be supporting Legacy of the Void for the foreseeable years to come, so it kind of makes sense that if we had a good year but Legacy isn't quite as polished as HOTS, then they're going to polish Legacy of the Void for 2017, 2018, and whatever, until Warcraft 4 or StarCraft 3 or whatever they decide to do.
Right.
Yep. And I think that's exciting,
Yeah. RTS is awesome. Like, I don't get bored with it. Some people ask, you stream this game 8 to 10 hours a day. Does it get boring? Does it feel like work? Not really, because you have so many different types of opponents, so many different builds, so many different funny moments of you messing up or the opponent messing up. It's a damn good time. And I really like it, especially for the solitude you get when you're playing StarCraft. So you don't have a bunch of people like in Overwatch saying, "Get on the point! What are you doing? Get off the game!"
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I play
that is
Overwatch,
annoying to deal with.
and I hear that, and it's like, I'm just gonna switch back to StarCraft because I don't want to hear this shit.
Well, and unfortunately, like, unless you play with players that that doesn't get any better the higher you get up on the ladder either for Overwatch. And the biggest problem with that is people want to play their own game. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. It's a team game, but it's such a foreign concept to a lot of these players that's like, I have to do what's best for the team, not what is best for me. Just because I can kill someone doesn't mean I should go for it because it leaves my team open. I need to stay where I'm at for everyone to succeed, and that's why it's a much harder concept because you need to. Yeah. It's more about teamwork than anything else, and a lot of people forget that.
Yep. So, what do you think about mech right now, Nuro?
I think mech is pretty awesome. I had one player go for a single cattle bruiser timing against me, which really caught me off guard because it was like, all right, Starport Tech Lab, where's the research? What's happening here? I didn't see any research. I was like, maybe they forgot it. So I'm looking for Liberator. I'm looking for Banshees. I'm like, what's happening? And then a cattle bruiser just flies into my base and it kills like a few drones, and then it TPs out. I was like, it wasn't super effective, but it was annoying. And I feel like with some polish, that could be a funny opener to go for. But like cattle bruisers in the late game, and just
a good old cattle bruiser, huh?
I have fun names for units like Ultra for dinosaurs, Colossi or giraffes, that sort of thing. Just whatever it kind of looks like. But I like mech right now. Tanks feel like kaboom. Like, you can't attack into tanks with Roach Hydra anymore. That's not a thing. Right. In Heart of the Swarm, there were a lot of like, choo-choo, Roach Hydra, I'm going to go for a two-prong attack and kill the tank player. No, we will be obliterated. There will only be ashes and dust where your Roach Hydra was. So you have to make Vipers. Tanks feel like they're more sturdy. There's no more tanky back, which is probably good for a lot of people. TVT is going to be way different. I'm interested about that matchup. People say they can't hear me at all.
Your mic's kind of cutting in and out. It's like
maybe you could just pull it closer. I think it keeps like losing you because you're talking soft, and then it's picking you back up. Maybe.
I haven't messed with my like Skype settings. I just put together audio settings. Do I have a volume gate?
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this to us because this didn't happen at all last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Skype or the microphone, but
I mean, it's probably Skype.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Right, Skype sucks. We know. Anyway, I think it's kind of cool. I've heard people say that that Hydra Viper is extremely strong against mech right now, and that's the better way to deal with it. But I used to play Zerg in late HOTS, kind of post Swarm host area, and it was just so brutal dealing with the turtle mech. And that was my big concern when I saw this patch is that do we end up with that horrible, disgusting turtle mech again? And I think if there's any way that we can make mech viable without having it be like that, that's encouraging. Yeah. So I kind of hope that's the case. And I haven't seen, I think, enough of those turtleneck games to see how it develops. But I've heard that the Hydra Viper is strong. Have you played any of that?
Yeah, it seems like, kind of like you were saying, being more like Brood War. The main armies aren't the main focus of that type of matchup a lot of the time. So in Heart of the Swarm, it kind of came down to who can make the better death ball and then just rush in and win the main fight and take the better engagement. Now it seems more like use the normal force, like your main army, to engage and control the mid lane, but then you're using your harassment to deal that crucial damage, kill production, kill workers, and it works both ways. So for Terran, they can use Liberators, Banshees, their air units, or Hellion run by to do that. Zerg can use Ling run by, Nidus, Mutaflock, that sort of thing. So it feels a lot more broad, where the playing field matters a lot. You have to think about the whole map, not just get my 4 bases, get 200 supply, and try to take a good fight and win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's encouraging too. I'm excited to see some of this Nidus Network Swarm host play against Mech. I'm hoping that becomes the norm because that's a pretty cool strategy to see.
Yeah, I just did a replay pack. I can actually just paste that in this chat.
Yeah, definitely.
There were 2 Swarm Host Nidus games I played, maybe 3 that are in the pack. One against SkyToss, one against HTO Mario, who's a streamer and like mid-high GM player. But it's really fun. I really like the versus mech matchup. Before versus mech for Zerg, it was like you go Roach Hydra Viper, you take a maxed out fight, and then you go Ultra Hydra Viper, and then you go Broodlord. And it's all about trading with their main army over and over again. Whereas now with cheaper Swarm hosts, you can do big harassment with the Nidus, and you don't have to directly fight their army, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it develops. I just hope we don't get into that same stale setup, but it sounds like that's not the case based off of what there is to work with.
Yeah. I mean, going over Protoss, I guess, I mean, we all know that SkyToss is kind of becoming more of the norm. Are you seeing anything else on ladder or any other timings besides, like, with the charge lot timings?
That's been the main one that feels unique. There's still, like, the standard Archon drop, DT drop.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about. Do you feel like that's too strong? Or do you think that the Warp Prism speed helped with that? Or Warp Prism health, rather?
Warp Prism health being reduced, it helps a little bit. I think the build has more or less been figured out, like by watching replays from Cham.
Yeah.
I know how to stop that style. Basically, the set of procedures for Zerg is you see the DankShrine, you take a layer with your first 100 gas, and then Overlord speed with your next, because you need Overseers to keep up with DTs, and you also need your Overlords to fly away from the Archons that can kill your Overlords. And then you make a ring of vision around your territory so you can see where the prism is coming in. And then you make 1 spore in each base and 3 roaches protecting each spore. So it's a very specific defensive procedure, but if you do that, it looks kind of the Archons
and
go in.
2 queens in each base, right?
Well, you have
this.
Yeah, you can do 5 queens on 1 hotkey, and then you're watching the mini.
Yeah.
It's beatable. It's hard to defend, and if you have like 1 Overlord gap, and then the prism comes in, you drop the DTs, you lose a spore.
Yeah.
So it feels unforgiving, but it is defensive.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of players are kind of opting for that prior to the patch. A little bit more diversity now with Stargate's play being stronger, but I've noticed that's still a popular opening. Anything else about the Protoss? Have you seen any Blink DTs yet?
Actually, I have not. The research time is really long, which is kind of why when the Blink research was announced, people were like that doesn't seem like it's going to be a thing that players like a late game fun ability rather than something you can rush for a timing. It'd be interesting to see. Someone will probably get like the earliest possible Blink TT timing and then do something really funny with it. But yeah, until that happens, I don't really foresee it being a common thing in the matchup.
Yep.
Right.
And they'll probably lose about 20 games before they win one with it because it's a late game tech.
I mean, that's gonna be. It's like it takes so long to research. It's so late in the game, and there's so much other things going on. You know, where I don't think like everyone's making a big deal about it, but I don't think they realize like it's really not going to be that common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because before the patch, that was the #1 thing that everybody was talking about, and it's been so far the least utilized, like weakest thing of the patch. So It's funny how it goes.
It's kind of the standard, right? Everyone complains about one thing and then it's irrelevant, basically.
It could have been, but you know, it just the way it worked out, it happened to be other things.
Right.
Baneling. One last thing, you know, what do you think about in standard ZVT the Baneling health? Because I've heard a lot of Terran players say it just makes, you know, everybody's talking about Hydras in the Protoss matchup, but that Baneling health makes things extremely difficult. Do you think that is the case? Because it seems pretty minor.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel that different. Like I haven't noticed anything super decisive about the Baneling health. Usually, kind of like that same principle of the player who has more workers and better production wins the game. That still kind of follows, and the Baneling health doesn't come in until you have Bane speed. So
Speed, yeah, right.
So the upgrades I think are more important than the Bane health, and then also just the engagements. Ling Bane versus Biomine is so dicey and explosive that usually it depends on who takes the better fight, rather than like that the Baneling health is a really big difference. Because the mines are what they want to use to be taking out the Banes anyway, unless you're like Beyond or something.
Right. And the mine still kills it with the 10 health, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, we'll see a lot of different like meta changes and stuff, you know, based on these new patches. It'll be interesting to see, and you know, the only way to experience it is to play, guys. So don't be discouraged. You know, if you're losing to these, take a deep breath, maybe do some yoga, you know, enlighten yourself, and then you know, take the ladder back.
Taking the step outside is a really good strategy, actually.
Yeah, do you do anything like that? Do you do any like breathing techniques or anything?
I got really tilted, what was it, like 2.5 to 3 weeks ago? It was actually my birthday, so whatever day that was.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thanks. So it was kind of a shitty birthday because I play in this online tournament, and I'm at like the most crucial point in the game. My opponent's coming to attack me with a bunch of roaches, and my monitor turns off.
Oh, fuck.
What the fuck? And I try to press pause, and then my keyboard isn't working, so I don't get pause in the correct time. And we reload the game, but the opponent's already in a really great position, and I'm screwed. And then I play the next game, and the monitor's on, it seems fine, and it turns off again. And then I'm like, all right, I guess I have to restart my computer. I don't know what to do. So I was probably like, to put it in a scale of 0 is totally calm and 10 is like the maddest that you can get. It was probably an 8 or a 9.
Definitely.
So that was a great opportunity to just step outside, get some fresh air, get away from the computer screen and stuff, and slow down. It's really easy to kind of have your anger snowball, where it just keeps building momentum and keeps building momentum. So you have to get away from that, whatever's causing that. Maybe relax a little bit, think about what's causing you to be angry, and think about what you need to do. So it's tilt management strategies. They talk about it a lot in poker.
Yeah.
So if I get above a 7, I need to probably do some physical exercise, like go for a run, or breathing is good, but I feel like breathing techniques are better for like warming up and getting into your games, rather than dealing. The anger should flow into something. Breathing is more of like connecting with your body and stuff.
Yeah, I like the going outside. I think that's a solid strategy. You know, it always is good to remove yourself from the situation and something like that. Yeah. Sweet. Well, you guys want to go over the IEM, or is there anything else you want to say about the patch?
I'm good on the patch.
Yeah, I think we still have a ways to go to figure out the new meta, but it's fun so far.
Well, you know, we're 1 week in, everybody thinks that they know everything, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think we need to give it at least a month before we can say anything significant about it.
Mm.
Yeah, anyway.
Right. Well, hang on real quick before we go into that. I actually have the video queued up from the Maru from the Maru Haas game, so we're going to watch that clip really quick here.
Did you watch this? Oh, you haven't seen it, huh, Nuro? It's
yeah, I've seen it.
You did?
Yeah.
After we watch this ad.
It's amazing, man.
I was watching this one live. I didn't catch too many of these live, but this is one of the ones I did.
Oh! No. He scans the third base, sees that there isn't one there, and has sort of takes a hidden base on.
What do you think was going through his head during this, Nero?
Again, Yeah.
Well, he has a supply lead, so that's one thing. And he didn't, I don't think he scouted Maru's setup. So it's one of those points where you're in the dark and it's a big tournament, like it's IEM. Maru's an amazing player, like he outclasses Haas by probably 1 tier. So it's kind of like you're already a little bit nervous, you're anxious, you have a bunch of supplies, so go for it. Maybe something good will happen. So it was a big risk and it didn't pay off, so he looks silly, but if Maru's maybe top 8, probably top 4 Terrans in the world, Haas is more than likely going to lose unless he takes some really big risks, and he's already known to be a really risky player.
Right.
So I kind of feel for him in that capacity of like, he has a bunch of extra stressors on him, and had an advantage, which was supply. Very obviously was.
He also had an advantage in number of gateways surrounding the map.
And he was also floating 3,000 minerals.
Yeah.
Now,
So what does he make? Colossi in the production tab?
Yeah, he ends up making Colossi. He's doing double or triple Robo Colossi production with Pure Stalker.
It's funny because you're watching this game and you realize he has no idea how to approach the late game because he had got ahead but decided to go for the triple expand behind it, and it was it just didn't know how to do that. It wasn't a bad thing to do. It was great. He could have gone into carriers and been massively ahead, but it was funny to see the lack of experience in that situation because Haas is one of those guys that in a lot of situations, he has much more game knowledge than, any other player would. Just not that situation, I don't think.
Here's one thing I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on, and this is probably not true, but do you think there's any chance that there was some match fixing involved here? No.
It doesn't seem like that type of throw. Like he had a clear follow-up, maybe, but usually match fixing occurs when a better player is losing unexpectedly to a worse player. Like in life games, he's heavily favored to win, which those are going to be the best scenarios for the gambling ring in Korea,
right,
where you bet on the underdog, and you get the favored player to throw the game. So for this, if people were betting on it, they're going to be betting on Maru to win. He's probably going to win. So it doesn't make too much sense to have the underdog throw the game.
But what if Haas had bet on himself to lose, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm winning. I need to throw this game."
Maybe there's a Dota meme about that.
Go ahead.
A guy who bet how much was it? The Dota player who bet against himself to lose. The Dota player who bet against himself to lose. How much was it? $322. Yeah, so a lot of people will say 322 when his name comes up because he bet against himself
322
and then threw the game.
Well, like I said, I don't know if that's for sure, but it just seems super weird. Like I said, let's not ignore the fact that he is a high level player. I mean, he's a top talent for his region, and he's top at least top 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the world ranking. So I mean, the fact that it was late game, but it just seemed weird that he had he just walked into it, he didn't have high ground vision, a lot of stuff just didn't add up. That's all I'm saying.
Well, one thing that we have to realize too is Vani is such a funny map because it provides a situation for where it's almost impossible to get into your opponent's base, and it allows them to kind of just that was one of those maps when I was talking about the old school TVZ where the Terran could just turtle. I mean, Vani was the prime example of it, and there's really wasn't. You watch the way that Haas plays; he's always in the opponent's face. He's always attacking them, and he gets ahead by just constantly keeping the opponents distracted on something else, and it kind of makes it hard to do that on that map. So I feel like it put him at a bit of a disadvantage there.
Yeah, I think the stalker harassment, or at least trading out some stalkers, was a good idea because he's getting close to being maxed and he wants to make higher tech units. Yeah. The error was in how many stalkers he committed to that pressure and also not having the high ground vision. So you could say he was clearly a blunder to shove all of his stalkers directly into Maru, but he did want to get rid of some of them. So maybe 8 to 10 stalkers blinked into the main, run into the natural, focus some SCVs and make the triple Colossi. That would have looked really smart and really good. But even pro players will make blunders.
Right.
What makes a pro player is they make far fewer blunders than semi-pro players and casual players.
Right, and also the tanks just got, maybe he didn't remember how strong the tanks were in that situation because it was a mostly tank army.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Could be possible. But anyway, let's go over these qualifiers. So, well, actually, these aren't the qualifying brackets that we have up here. This is actually for the main tournament. But same difference. We kind of
these are the guys that got through.
Yeah. So for Group A, we've got Zest, Lenok, Trust, and Sue. I'd say in that one I would take Zest to get through, and I say probably Sue, Zest and Sue. What do you guys think?
I played against Sue twice in the past few days. He's just really crisp and strong, in ZVZ at least.
Like Lenok's really good, but I think Sue's better.
Yeah, you could say between Lenok and Sue, Sue is probably at a higher point in his career overall. Yeah, I would go for Zest and Sue to make it through that group.
Yeah. Let's see. Group B, we've got Stats, Innovation, Lucira, and Hero. That's a little bit tougher of a group.
Yeah.
I would say Stats and Innovation, just like that's what comes to my head immediately.
Mm-hmm. I certainly agree with you. I saw some good games that I did watch of this from Lucira.
Yeah, I like
seen that many lately.
Lucira, did well in this tournament.
It's hard to say with the way that the new patches too. It's like it makes things a little bit different. But yeah, it's hard to not pick Innovation and Stats there just because of history.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind with these predictions too is a big patch just went live.
Right.
So sometimes the player who is historically better isn't necessarily favored because this type of tournament is going to reward people who pick up the new meta really quickly and do some unexpected things that utilize the buffed units.
Yeah, so, we were talking about that with Zest. Like, I think that you see Zest's success earlier last year. He was doing very well in the early Legacy of the Void and kind of fell off. And it was funny because when this patch came out, the original, I think there was some sort of a GSL Cataclysm tournament that happened where they utilized this just a balance test before it went live. And he did extremely well in that. And I kind of tend to think that he's one of those players that has that early adaptation ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lucira is someone who tends to be more on the creative side for Zerg. Like, he uses Burrow a lot more than other Zerg players and mines and that sort of thing. So I would, if there was someone who makes an upset in this tournament, I would think that he might potentially make it through that group. That would be a cool upset.
Yeah, it could happen. Group C, we have Dark, Jakshi, Beal, and Classic. For that group, I would actually say I'm feeling Dark and Classic.
Dark was one of these guys that was never really good until, recent. I mean, he was good. He was always good, but he became great last year with this kind of very specific style, right? And I'm wondering if it's something that we maybe see not become effective moving forward. Not really related to the results of the group, but
the style isn't really anything that's risky. It's kind of like the least risky way to play Zerg. He will go for a lot of big timings, but usually that's playing around his primary archetype. So as a player, he probably gets Overlord speed more than any other Zerg, consistently right after Ling speed. And that's purely informational. Like, that fills his knowledge of what's happening in the game rather than something that is a risk. It's like the least risky gas expenditure you could take.
So do you think that he's the kind of player that could beat Mech or Sky Toss?
Oh, for sure. Like, I would say he has the best chance of beating it of other players because if you look at his games, like against Stats and stuff, he's putting on a lot of that light pressure with Baneling drops while he has a really strong army on his side of the map. Like, he doesn't feel like he needs to rush in and hit a bunch of timings. He just macros up into his 4th, 5th, 6th bases, Hive Tech, and he's just Bane run by Bane drop, like that type of harassment over and over again.
Yeah, Legacy of the Void has become so much about harassment, and maybe it's going to favor him well just because that's what it's going to be, even for Mech and for Sky Toss. So hopefully that's the case.
Before we go on to the next group here, let's actually stop the Skype call real quick and let's rejoin it, and then just see if that doesn't help out with any of these audio issues.
Okay. Otherwise, could we use Discord and then the video from Skype?
Yeah, we definitely could do that as well. If we want to just do that, we could just try that.
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
All right, I'm leaving then.
Okay.
Well, No. Oh my god, guys. No. These guys are funny. Well, I guess we're just gonna talk to me. Because these guys didn't understand that we're gonna use the Skype video, but Discord chat. Oh, yeah. Clearly they did not understand. But, okay, hang on. Don't, nobody panic. I'm opening Discord right now. We'll hear him. Okay, so I can hear you.
Is this better? I guess the...
I mean, I can hear you fine.
Oh, hey.
So, I can hear you both fine. Okay, let's try to this group call again. Because we still need the Skype for the video.
That's true.
So I'm calling you guys. Make sure you pick up.
I hate Skype so much.
I know, me too. Okay, so make sure you turn your cam on.
Hello, this is Nuro.
Skype is not responding.
Super duper. Okay, well, I'm gonna mute Skype.
Rip the dream. Let me restart Skype. It just froze on me.
Oh no.
Okay.
People hear me now?
They should be able to hear you.
Can you try calling me again?
Isn't technology amazing?
When it works. Is I'm calling you.
Oh, yes.
Okay, there we go.
All right, I muted my mic. I'm good.
I think we should be okay. So, guys in the chat, let us know. I'll do my best to moderate volumes at this point. But okay, so back to where we were. We were going into Group D. We have Byun, a Chinese player who I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I know I'm just going to butcher it. Maru and Solar. If any of you want to take an attempt at that name, go ahead.
Oh, Ayasanu.
Ayasanu is okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm known for butchering fucking names. So.
Yeah, he's they just call him IA, I think, though, right?
I've seen it, Ayasanu, or heard it, rather.
Sure. Well, okay, Ayasanu. Okay, so we have Byun, Ayasanu, Maru, and Solar. Out of that group, I would think Byun would have the overall advantage. Maru, see, this is where it comes down to being a tough one because Maru and Byun are so close in skill. I feel that's really close. And then Solar, so really it's like okay, it basically comes down to those three, but it really could go in any order.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'll be really cool to see Byun versus Maru because TVT was previously dominated by Bio and Tankyvac, and Tankyvac has been ripped out. So how do you take edges and make big engagements happen without that? So this should be a pretty cool match to see if they do play each other. I hope they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about TVT right now?
I haven't seen it post-patch, so I don't really know. And it's kind of a matchup that I haven't known a whole lot about. But one of the things that is interesting about TVT in general is Terran is the best base racing race because they can lift their buildings.
Right.
So if both players are Terran, then base races are incredibly volatile. So your ability to be successful as a Terran, especially in TVT, is knowing how to manage a crisis, how to base race really well, and to take those big risks when you're behind. So it's fun to watch, even if I'm not super knowledgeable at understanding it. Polt, I lived with at the team house in Atlanta for 6 months, and TVT is his best matchup. And with the Siege Tank, it's a very knowledge-based matchup. It feels less like Ling Bane, where it's about like really precise micro and adjustments and explosive early game, and more about the methodical mid game, understanding how to get ahead, where to put your tanks, and how to control space on the map and kind of choke the opponent out. So it's definitely a cool matchup. Maru is more of like the overwhelming like swarms of Terran units being dropped all over the place. Beyond kind of plays like that as well, so I think that would be maybe the coolest matchup of the whole tournament.
You know, one thing I'll say about it is I think Beyond, I'm really sad to see the Tankovac go. I really liked, I didn't play Terran, so I can't speak to that, but just watching it was super fun. So that's kind of a bummer to not have that there anymore. And I think that Beyond is really good at just microing so well. So I have a feeling that, you know, maybe some of what made him such a great player might be gone in the game. I hope not, because, you know, obviously Beyond's a extremely fun player to watch, a ton of emotion, but I really hope that he can continue his dominance. But man, Tankovac kind of felt like his unit, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that is kind of a general theme of champion players is they use what is strongest. So if what is strongest has changed, then the best players will change what they're using to fit that. So you saw Bjorn versus Dark. He did 2 or 3 Rex Reaper, 3 of the games, and won all of them.
Yep.
For Zerg viewers, it just breaks my heart to see that happen.
And that hasn't changed, right? Nothing has changed with the Reaper.
Right. He just micros it really well, and his transitions are really smart, and his transitions are map specific. So
Right.
3 Rax Reaper and 2 Rax Reaper were things that you see on the ladder a lot, but with him, he would pick a follow-up that would like exploit some particular map feature. So on Galactic Process, he did 2 Rax Reaper, just enough to be annoying and delay the third. Yeah, and then a double tank push at the third base and just totally smash Dark. And it was a map-specific build you can't do on every map. It was brilliant, and it just breaks my swarmy heart to see it happen.
Yeah, man. That was nasty. I'll give you credit on that.
Well, that being said, so we kind of made our predictions there. I mean, I know that we didn't see a whole lot of the qualifiers, but we did see Biel knocking out Scarlet and Neeb. That was kind of surprising.
And no regret. So the whole house.
Yeah, the whole On Fire clan was murdered.
Is a player that I feel like is incredibly good, but he doesn't have the most hardy nerves. So a lot of times he'll get flustered and upset and won't necessarily play his best, but he is very talented. Yeah. So if he is confident in a tournament and he's playing his best, he's potentially one of the best in the world. But he's going to be more volatile than someone like Dark, who's really consistent and strong.
Sure.
Yeah, it was funny. He looked like he really wanted to abuse the foreigners. He went very aggressive against Neeb in the game that I saw him play, and it just really got to him early. So it seemed like when he's feeling confident, he knows how to play well.
That's pretty much always a theme of Korea versus non-Korea, which is Koreans in the Korean server generally has a lot of really super aggressive early timings. And NA and EU, they still have some of them, but it's percentage less. So Violet was telling me when we were at the house, he's like, oh, well, I'm playing against Huck or whoever, I could probably just be aggressive and win. Because a lot of those players will crumble against the multitasking, the multi-prong attacks, and that sort of thing. There's one game that is probably the most memorable that I saw from Violet, or a series, him versus Huck in a tournament, and he's basically harassing Huck in 3 places at the same time, every single match, and then macroing behind it with a worker lead, and then at the end of it, Huck accuses him of stream cheating. And I'm watching Violet play the whole series. He has 1 monitor, and he's just destroying him. And it made me think about how a lot of those edges of camera control, directing the flow of the action with faster maneuver and units, it can feel like, oh, maybe he knows what I'm doing. Or maybe he's just faster than you. And maybe you could work on your camera control. Camera control is super, super hard, and it's a pain in the ass to work on. Like, I have camera location hotkeys. I switched to that from base camera. And if you watch different streams, different even GM level streams, certain players are going to be really efficient with how they go from one place to another base, to their army, to a harassment, to a scout, and then back. Other players will drag a lot. So the dragging is something that is a really big, basically,
It's a
inhibiting
drag.
factor. Yeah, for your ability to go from one thing to another in RTS, where there are no turns.
No, it definitely is. It's really good for anybody who's watching this who doesn't use camera location hotkeys. It's pretty essential to get good at the game.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, after a certain place, you just have to start using things like that. Otherwise, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Other things about the tournament, perfect race distribution.
Yeah.
So obviously we have balance, and everybody just doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yep. Really. Top keck. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to that tournament. I know that we have, that's like the first one of the year, so it'll be good to kind of get back into the flow. I think we want to go into general news next, unless you guys had anything else.
No, I'm excited for the tournament. It's kind of cool getting to see the top Koreans in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of anyway.
Right. Well, for general news, we don't have a whole lot. Haas actually left Flash Wolves, and I guess that was like 2 weeks ago, but it was just like recently reported basically or confirmed. So kind of interesting. And then we have Hyun leave Junior Green Wings.
Yeah, which is kind of sad,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of players' contracts are ending right now and stuff. So I'm just hoping that the Korean scene doesn't fall in too hard of times, because I know it's already just becoming harder.
Right.
So hopefully, I don't know, we can just support them somehow. Whether it be the what Base Trade is doing with the Pro versus U series, where you get to play against a Pro and a Archon versus them, which is kind of a cool thing, and then all proceeds go to the Pro. So it's kind of a cool.
Gauntlet's doing that, right?
Yeah, Gauntlet. So it's they had some pretty cool ones so far. They've had Dark, or not Dark. They have had Solar. Who else do they have? Scarlet, and then MC and Parting. So,
yep.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. Talking about the support of Korean players, especially with a bunch of teams and Pro League disbanding, the nature of Korean StarCraft is kind of in an evolution stage where the popularity of StarCraft 2 in Korea, you could say, is less than compared to the rest of the world. So we have the best players in the world highly concentrated in Korea, but the demand and the viewership isn't anywhere close to what it once was. So that just means that the revenue or the expenditures in the scene need to be cut back to fit the revenue. A lot of players you've seen in the past couple of days have been streaming. I feel like that will be a way for a lot of these pro gamers to supplement their income if they're not able to be in as many tournaments and Korean StarCraft is shrinking. I think there is a space for it, but I think, as In Control has said a while back, StarCraft kind of has an oversaturation of players who want to be pro gamers. And if the money isn't there, then you can't really do it, and the scene is going to shrink to fit how much money is there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think we have too many more people that we're going to see come into the pro status, really. I mean, maybe there's maybe one or two more come in as a couple go out, but I don't think we're going to see this huge influx. I think it's kind of going to stay where it's at unless something major happens, really.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing about the Koreans needing other ways to supplement their income. You were talking about streaming. I've seen a lot more Koreans streaming, which is, it's cool. It's not as good for them, and I think that results in some of the GSL, SSL tournaments, but it's great for, a casual viewer and people trying to learn.
Yeah, it's super awesome to see Jaedong and Flash in Brood War again too. I didn't follow Brood War back in the day, but I know the story of their rivalry and both of their rises to skill and stuff, and that they're both now really successful in Brood War. So they were able to go back and then make it really deep in Brood War, kind of using their older skills.
Yeah, and that's something where there is a demand in Korea.
Yep. Well, mainly that's because the golden age of StarCraft in Korea was Brood War, and a lot of the Brood War audience still loves Brood War. They understand the game, and they know Flash, they know Jaedong. They're working, so they're making a lot of money. You have people with disposable income who are now watching Brood War, whereas the StarCraft 2 viewership is maybe a decade younger than that, with less revenue.
Speaking of which, the next ASL is actually starting really soon. If you guys didn't know that, that's the GSL's StarCraft 1 tournament that Tasteless and Artosis cast. So that their next tournament series will be starting up here pretty soon. So, and that will have both Jaedong, Flash, and Stork, Bisu, and all the other ones who I can't think of because I don't know that game as well, but I do know that those 4 are all in it, so it'll still be really cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all I had for general news. I know Polygon Gaming is actually doing a show match of Neeb versus Scarlet. I think that's like in 2 days. That's on Team Liquid, so you guys can check that out. That'll be kind of interesting.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
best of 69,
something like that. I think that's it for general news, unless you guys had anything else.
Well, did you want to talk about the map pool? Looks like that's.
Well, we talked about that last week.
What do you think, though? What's your thoughts about these
maps?
We'll
take your opinions on it for sure.
I really liked when they first did the Dream Pool because we got to vote on it. There was no vote this year, right? I don't remember there being a vote. I think
and it's such a huge part of balance too, is maps.
Yeah. Like with the Legacy of the Void economy, a lot of the maps feel really different. Like Overgrowth doesn't feel as fun and amazing as it was in HOTS because the tempo picks up so fast and the rush is really short. So I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Like there's a little bit of nostalgia there, but we had most of these in the previous Dream Pool season, so it doesn't feel like, oh, I've really missed this map. It was like, yeah, we did this map last year.
Yeah, plus we've had like Frost and King's Sejong Station for a year now.
Yeah, so we already kind of had the throwback feel. It feels less like novel and exciting.
Yeah, it feels like people aren't taking initiative to get new maps, but
yeah.
Well, yeah. So if we don't have anything else, then I think we're gonna play our game. So we're gonna do some StarCraft 2 trivia for these two, and it's just 3 questions. We'll see who wins. They're pretty easy. Both these guys told me that they're not the best with trivia, so I decided to take it easy on them. Real quick before we get into that, I just again want to thank our sponsor, MMO Coach. Guys, be a better gamer. Kind of the Steel Day 9's tagline there, unintentionally. At least. But yeah, it's a good opportunity if you want to be a coach. That's really what they're looking for right now, is to get the coaches on board, because then more people will go there because they'll see, oh, there's a bunch of coaches, not just a couple. So it's a good opportunity if you're a high level player and would like to do some coaching, like to learn. And then it's cool for lower level players if you want to get some coaching. The prices are like super reasonable because you can actually just set like your own rates. So like I'm like $5 an hour, so like very cheap. And again, I'm an entry level coach, so don't get me if you're trying to get GM, because I will not help you get there. I will hinder you, if anything. You can follow us at DankShrine on Twitter. Go ahead and follow our page. Thanks to everyone who's already followed. We appreciate that. It helps. If you have never seen this show for some reason, you live in a fucking cave, this is on every week at the same time with a different person every week. So if you thought this was pretty cool, and we'll have these audio issues fixed. We're just going to do what we're doing right now.
Sometimes it's just us, but thanks a bunch, Nuro, for coming on too. And do you have any sponsors or
shout out to any of your sponsors, man.
Inventions?
I'll just do my
alternative universes that you'd like to promote.
Oh, StarCraft. Wow. Okay. Twitter. And yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, we usually put these on YouTube, so if you want to plug anything, audio.
All the VODs will be on YouTube as well.
Wicked. Well, I do coach. You can just email me at neurozerg@gmail.com if you want to schedule a session. I'll be away for 1 week, or actually this weekend for a wedding, and then a week in December for the holidays. But I have a bunch of YouTube content that I filmed last week that'll be coming out probably early 2017 or at the end of this year on a bunch of topics that people requested on mentality and that sort of thing. Ladder anxiety has been one that people have wanted a video on for a long, long time. And it's a hard topic. Everyone gets anxious with the ladder, myself included. Yeah. So being able to confront that and then figure out what to focus on, so it's not quite as risky of an endeavor like clicking the play button. Oh, what if my points go down? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous just thinking about it.
Yeah, but shout out to Root as well for supporting me so well since I've been on the team. Root for Root.
Dude, Root's awesome. Hopefully one day we can be DankShrine powered by Root Gaming, or I don't know what the fuck we would be called. Whatever. Anyway, let's get on to some fun. Do some breathing exercise, guys. Get some of that going. Don't be too nervous for these trivia questions. Okay. And now, so the way this is going to work is you're both going to like buzz in, and I just want you to say your names. Okay? So whomever I hear first, you get the first chance to answer the question. Make sense?
Why don't we just go? Eh.
Okay, fine. If you want to make an ant noise, I'm okay with that. So, but whomever I hear first.
I'll go ding so you can
Okay,
differentiate.
we're gonna have an ant and a ding. Got it. All right. So just ding in, and then whoever gets that right. And it doesn't have to be in the form of a question or anything like that. It's not Jeopardy.
I'm doing it anyway.
Okay. So and again, these are easy. So everyone in the chat, just don't be too harsh because I made these easy on purpose. Okay. What player was banned for the same amount of time as his name?
I thought you said these were easy.
This one is easy. Think about it. What player was banned for the same amount of time as his name?
Ding.
Nero.
Life.
He got it. Ding, 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 ding. That was a thinker, apparently.
I was gonna go with 0 because that works too.
I don't know any players named 0.
The first thing that came to mind for me was Action Jesus. I don't know why.
Action Jesus. No, that's not a frame of time. Okay. Second
3
question.
days, dude.
All right, get loose. Come on. All right, question 2. Who died in the car accident with Day 9?
Ding.
Silly.
Isn't it Husky?
Correct. It was Husky.
Oh, rip.
That's the StarCraft 2 meme, but everyone knows
Too
that.
soon.
Too soon. It was a long time ago.
He makes cupcakes now, dude.
Does he?
He's in heaven.
Is that his thing? He makes cupcakes?
He's on YouTube heaven, yeah.
Okay. All right, now this last one might be a throwback, but I still feel like this is really good common knowledge. Okay, ready? Because it's 1-1, so this is for the win.
Oh shit.
What Korean pro helped for his father's hospital bills by selling fruit on the side of the road? Nuro.
Would that be the fruit dealer?
Correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Is that true?
That is true.
That's a myth.
No, that is a true story.
No, I know. I'm just memeing.
100%. So Nuro wins our game show this week. So congratulations.
Wow.
You won an hour coaching from Penguin apparently because that was our prize last week.
Yes,
So
that's what everyone gets.
Yeah, we'll just roll that in. That'll become the meme. So if you win, you get an hour of Penguin coaching, or maybe you can coach
Like
him
a champion now.
like a champion. Well, that's all for us, guys. I really appreciate everyone stopping by and watching. Nero, thank you for coming on and thank you for hosting. We appreciate that because clearly we got some word out to some of these guys who have never seen the show.
Oh, you hosted the channel. Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Are you gonna stream again, or are you done?
No, I did 8 hours, so I'm probably good.
He's jam packed.
Christ, man.
He's worn out.
Ooh-wee. Yeah, that's a lot. Well, thanks for taking the time for us, and apologies for the delay with the traffic. There was a shooting apparently on the 580 today, and I was right behind it.
That's common in Oakland, though, isn't it? Like, don't they just have like a plan for that?
It's usually not on the highway.
Not directly on the highway. Got it. All right, guys. Well, until next week, again, it's the same time every week. Check Reddit if you use Reddit because we post in there like who the guest is going to be. There's a thread on Team Liquid, so it's not usually a surprise, but go ahead and check those sources so you can find out who the next week's guest will be. But that's all from us. Thank you again, and take care.
Thanks, Nero.
Yeah.